Hey, how's everybody doing today? Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday. We made it to another week and we're going to continue with part 4 of the Boxer Girl. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but we got it done and we're just going to be doing the finishing touches, the darkest darks, the lightest lights, the accents, both directions, some nice little tight detail. We're going to call this one done and we'll start with our next one next week. Let me very quickly go and pull up the YouTube chat viewer here so I can see you guys talking to me. That's if you guys are there. Let's see. It's always a nice surprise to see if anyone is there. So I don't think anyone is there quite yet, but that's all good. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and continue. So let's see. So built-in microphone. Actually here we'll have no microphone. And then here, okay, so you guys should be hearing me pretty well. Hey Willie, good to see you. How's everything going? Did that Sotar arrive? Norm, how you doing? Thanks so much for all your information over the past week. Such a great help. Good to see you, Norm. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and load up this Sotar here. I have more lighting in here, so it actually you can see better. So, tell me, Willie, what do you think of it? Your first thoughts, your reactions of the Sotar Slim 2020 Plus, the Sotar 2020 Slim. Yeah, that's a really everyone who has touched it so far has been so happy, but I always love to hear first-hand testimonials, that's for sure. I can't put mine down. And of course, you know, oh, you do like it. Now, how do you like it in relation to the side feed eclipse that you purchased? They're totally different animals, right? Hey, Jacob, how you doing today? Good to see you, man. Doing some quick dagger strokes here, some dots, making sure the airbrush is working well. And Chris, how you doing? Brian, what's going on? Good to see you. So Chris is one of my students. I just saw him not too long ago, just giving him some pointers. You know, he's doing really great. So that's really exciting. And you know, we're going very far with the India ink and the airbrush, so I'm pretty excited about it. So right now, we are pretty much in the finishing stages. So let me look for my reference photo. I'm going to be using this shield, of course. Let's see. My drawer here has a lot of reference photos, I'll tell you. That's a good thing. It means I'm busy, right? It means I'm constantly working, constantly flexing that airbrush muscle, right? That's what we have to do. Let's see. Is this it? Is it one of these? Yes. So you feel that it's a very good airbrush for ink. Is that so, Willie? I agree. It's a very good airbrush for India ink. It's almost like tailor-made. And it feels like a pen. That's what I love about it. Oh, so let's see. Jacob says here that Spray Atelier Fast Medium Fixative True to Airbrush is a dream. He thinks it won't spiderweb on paper when you apply the color. Interesting. That sounds, I would love to see more and learn more about your experiments on that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, beating on the surface. That's something you don't want to have happen. I agree 100% on that one. That's for sure. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move her over here, have our reference so we can take a look at what we're doing. And so Jake is actually doing a painting of Pennywise using the India ink technique with the airbrush, and that's with the side feed eclipse. So I really like the way it's coming out. It's pretty exciting. And Norm did an incredible version of Rosita. Just amazing. really just fantastic. I was so impressed with Norm. And he did that with the Sotar. Wendy, good to see you. So glad you're here. And I'm so glad you're feeling better. Okay, so now I'm just going to start. Now I still have a very light mixture. Whenever I start, like after like the next day and I'm starting for the first time, yeah, thank goodness, Norm. It is a great group. Always thankful of you guys. That's for sure. Always thankful. I always start with the 3 drops of India ink and the 3 full eyedroppers of the ink ratio. Now, the reason being is because in the beginning of every session, you're going to be a little bit rusty. Am I right? So this way you can get back in there, then you darken it up when you get a little more acclimated. So here's the mixture right here, which is 3 full eyedroppers of the water and just 3 drops of the India ink, and you get this value right here when you use the Higgins waterproof India ink. So right now I'm just gonna go back in, get reacclimated with the painting. So maybe work a little texture here. So I added another light, sort of a studio light here, so the room is going to look much better, and I think the artwork is going to look clearer, so that makes me happy. Anything to make the presentation and everything just a little better. In the next coming months, I'm actually going to be making improvements to the live stream. It's going to be very exciting. I'm really excited to take it up to the next level. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead. Hey, Super Killer, how's it going? How's everything go? Halloween, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, they're celebrating Halloween here in New Jersey like crazy. What about you, Super Killer? Thanks. Willie says with all the work I do, I don't think I'll ever get rusty. I appreciate that. Thanks, Norm. I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, I'm almost obsessive, I would say. Bordering on obsessive. But there's nothing else I'd rather do, you know? Well, a couple of things come to mind, but it's one of the things that I love to do most. By darkening that eyelid, I think it's going to soften her up a little bit. I mean, I know she's a boxer and she's a woman, but she's still a woman, so I don't want it to be too harsh, right? So, and Super Killer says he hunkers down in his basement with movies and snacks. That's pretty cool. That's not a bad evening there, Super Killer, that's for sure. So I'm just little here and there, just hitting some, just little bits of just texture and maybe looking for some dark accents, that sort of thing. I'm going to come in with the liner brush pretty soon, and that's going to be pretty cool. So that's, you know, a lot of the end game with this is actually not even using the airbrush as much. A lot of it's a lot of paintbrush work, maybe a little bit of crow quill, definitely some pastel, and that's how we're going to actually get to that finish that we really are looking for. So pretty soon I'm going to go ahead, once I run out of here, I'm going to darken the mixture a little bit. And what that means is like increasing the amount of India ink and decreasing the water. And but by going through those ink ratios that I have, there's no guesswork. You know what value you're going to get. So it's like having a set of neutral grays, so it's not bad. And So right now I'm just sort of drawing with the airbrush, seeing where I could use a little more texture, a little more value here and there. And then I'm going to come back in a little bit and hit some of those dark accents, almost black. And that's going to make a big difference, guys. See right there we got, so we're sort of creating the softness in her, which I think is very important to pull off this piece. Very important. Jake says, yes, badgers are killing Iwata. You know what? I think they are. I think what Badger is doing now is really kicking butt. And I think, you know, they're definitely in position to do some really great things and make Iwata double think their high prices, right? That's what I'm thinking. Because if Badger can do it with such great rates, come on, you know that you know very well that Iwata has to come down in price. Kiva, how you doing? How's everything going? It's good to see you. Kiva has been doing some amazing murals, like in a public space, right? And where is this public space exactly, Kiva, which is really exciting? You guys have to see it. It's just amazing. She's just so incredibly talented. To work on a large scale like that is unbelievable. I would love to do a mural one day. So I'm so excited about Kiva's murals. Actually, I'm excited about everyone's art here. Everyone's doing really amazing, honestly. I definitely see that. I gotta lower my speakers. I keep getting notifications. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, so in Portsmouth, you gotta, I can't say it. It's in Ohio, and it's on the flood walls under the bridge. Wow, that is so cool. So yeah, some of the stories that Kiva says, unbelievable, so funny. You know what it takes to, paint a mural in a public space. You wouldn't believe how cool it is. I mean, to be in the public eye like that, right? That's just amazing. Well, thank you, Kiva. Kiva says that I'm doing amazing too. Well, I appreciate that. Little bit at a time, right? That's all we can do. Jake said he did a 150-foot clarinet. Wow, that's a really big clarinet. Holy cow. Where was that, Jake? And Norm asks, Kiva, can we search Google and find an image of it? That is cool, yeah, because that's some exciting stuff. Very exciting. This is, oh, Dafford. Is that in North Carolina? So I think Jake said he did that giant 150-foot clarinet in, wow, actually, that's a huge clarinet. So it's on, okay, so it's on Kiva's Facebook. So neat. And, oh, wow. So yes, and who Kiva's working with is actually a famous muralist. So that's great. Great exposure for Kiva, and just really great just on so many levels, right? And you can see now I'm pumping the trigger. You see, watch, I'm actually moving the trigger back and forth. And when you do that, you get that unevenness, and that's how you get the skin texture, guys. But it only works if you leave some space around, and that's why you get that skin texture. So it's really cool. So Kiva says that Robert Dafford is a muralist from New Orleans. Very exciting. Yeah, I checked out his work. It's really fantastic. So you see how I'm gaining that structure, that texture, not by any other means except by pumping the trigger and leaving some space between each time I make a mark. You see, because if I don't leave a space, then it's going to become an even tone. If it's an even tone, you're not going to have that texture. So this is a good way for us to have that texture. While I still have that nice thin mixture, 3 drops of India ink, 3 full eyedroppers of water. Now that's the ratio, and of course you need to have more ink than that, so you just triple it up. So 9 drops of ink and 9 full eyedroppers of water, and that's where you'll get, something like this, so you could use it. You know what I'm thinking? I don't think my compressor's on, so hold on one moment, and perfect. So for the whole summer, I've been doing airbrush in this studio, which usually was just for drawing. So this is, let me see if I get a better view of the studio here. So here's the view of my little studio here. Let me make sure I'm getting sound. Okay, so you guys can hear me. So here's a view of the studio that I'm working. It's also my bedroom, and so you can see I'm pretty much painting sitting down. Well, the other day I actually went ahead and moved my compressor in the other studio, and I haven't done that in a while. It was just, it was much more of a liberating experience and much more free than sitting down. This is a very controlled environment. But when you're standing up and you're airbrushing, it's almost like a Jackson Pollock. It's a lot more of a physical. This is, plus sitting down like this, you have to have a lot more control because you are in a small, tight space. But it was very liberating to do that. So Jake says that I remind him of Salvador Dali. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Jake. That's funny. Dali was a character, huh? He really was. When he actually painted very classical artwork in the early going, before he started hanging out with surrealists. And so I'm really just moving around. So there's some texture here, right, guys? So let's see if we could make that happen. How's the sound? You guys can hear me well? Pumping the trigger, guys. See that? I'm pumping the trigger. And I'm keeping space in between. Not much, but pumping and moving. Just like, jab and move, because we're painting a boxer, right? So we got to think about that. That's ironic. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate that. So we have a little bit of delay when you guys say something and when I see it. So I think that's good because delay keeps a lot of the freezing up. So that's why there's delay. So Norm says, do I also have a recipe for water to white ink? You know what? I don't. But this is the thing. When you have, let's say, 3 drops, I would do about 5 drops of water. So definitely you don't want to use the same ratio of full eyedroppers because you want that white to be opaque. So I would say for every 3 drops of ink, just 3 drops, not full eyedroppers, 5 drops of water. See how that goes. And if that doesn't go well, then just, increase the water. But play around with it. But Norm, that's very good. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and do more research and find a definitive recipe, because that's important. I don't want you guys to be, having trouble with that. I want you guys to know exactly what's best, I think. And me too. I mean, at this stage of the game, a lot of times I can just wing it, like when someone's a great cook and they're like, well, how do you make your rice? Well, I just do it and I don't know. But the thing is, this is about you guys being successful. So that's why I'm definitely going to go ahead and work on that probably this week. Because that's a good question. I'll put that on my blog, actually. And so right now you can see, even though this painting is going to be this part of the process mostly about dark accents and light, but right now I can see I missed the mark a little bit, or I'm just about set up for some texture. So that's what I'm doing right now. And just, doing some texture here in her lips. It's actually pretty warm today here in New Jersey. I'm just outside of New York City. You can see the Empire State Building from my studio window. And it's been warm. I mean, felt like in the 60s today. Rather crazy. And tomorrow's November 1st, right? So, of course, this is definitely my favorite time of the year. I really love it. I love painting in this time of year. It's really fantastic. Well, thanks, Norm. I appreciate that. Norm says it's hard to see where I missed the mark. I appreciate it. That's very nice. And, it's that little things here and there that I think that we notice that could be a little better. We're always much harder on ourselves than, and I know all you guys can definitely attest to that, right? You guys are hard on yourselves as well. I know that. I think that's part of being an artist. I think Dante Gabriel Rossetti said that in other painters' work we can see the genius, but in our own we see the imperfections. It's so true, isn't it? Wow, see, painting outside, that is so cool. You almost have to, right? You almost have to pretend you're not there to, people are not watching you. And that's hard sometimes. See, I'm doing just dagger strokes to get that. I'm not doing one continuous line. I'm not asking myself to do that. There's no need. With short dagger strokes, you can definitely get any kind of subtlety that you want. But sometimes the subtlety is best performed with the crow quill or even the paintbrush. So it's not like, it's always best to do it with the airbrush. It's not. Sometimes it's best to do it with a paintbrush. Whatever gives you the best results, guys, right? That's it, And so, Wendy says it's still hot in Texas. So what's the weather like there now? Wendy's just outside of Dallas. Yeah, you are an amazing artist there, Kiva. You know that. I know that. I know you're amazing. And so right now I'm just looking like, where can I add more texture? And then I'm gonna, from there, we're gonna go ahead. No rush, because we're gonna get there. We have 2 hours here. Of course, 2 hours goes like a blur when I'm doing these. Oh, guess what, guys? I finally made it. Oh, Wendy says in the 60s, supposed to get into the 80s tomorrow. That is still hot. Yes, the 80s. That's our July. Actually, no, that's our August. The 80s, or high 80s, low 90s, right? That's our New Jersey, New York City summer. But we had a pretty hot summer, I would say. And just a little texture here by her nose. There we go. And really we want to make that nose turn, but wait till we come in with the white pastel, then things will really start to pop, guys. See that? So we're just going to make sure that we're working out this texture. So Kiva says that we're going to make her conceited. That is so cool. No, you are a very, very talented artist, Kiva. So that's okay. It's good that you hear this. That's for sure. And she says that this chat is full of amazing artists, and it's so true. You know, I have a very talented group here, and that is like, that's very exciting. So pretty soon I'm going to have a blog just dedicated to Airbrush, and it's going to have an online store, and you'll be able to get things that you would need, art supplies for this technique that are curated just by me. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I should start to have it rolled out by mid next week. I know I kept saying that, but I'm excited about that. It's all in the works. So, and that's all part of making the live stream better, technically better, and just an easier learning experience, and more of a way where you guys can work with me and sort of work together. So that's going to be very exciting. Jake says that he's my #1 fan. That's so funny. Well, I appreciate that, Jake. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you guys, I'm fans of you guys too, because I look forward to coming and hanging out with you guys every Wednesday. All week, that's all I'm thinking about, is the next live stream. I even do a live stream sometimes on the weekend just to, you know, I don't know, because I miss it. I'll do one like on Facebook, or I'll do it on Twitch. Sometimes I go on Twitch. No one really is on Twitch too much, but once in a while people will pop their head in, and that's nice. Plus, it helps me to get the bugs out of the different live stream issues, so when I have my main live stream, I'm right there ready to go, which is fantastic. So Wendy says that a cold front cooled down more than a door at 70, even better. Oh wow, I appreciate that. How great is that for Willie to say? Willie says that it's great and it's a way that we can give back, and I appreciate that, you know, and it's a way for me to help you guys out too, and, you know, have videos that, you know, are just, you know, they aren't YouTube videos or anything. They're affordable videos, and it's going to be step by step, talking you guys through the whole thing, and just make it fun and affordable. That's the most important thing, because, you know, when I do these videos and I'm doing this online storage with you guys in mind, it's not for me in mind. And I think too often a lot of the teaching community is not really geared to help you guys out, but that's my goal. So Super Killer says on Twitch you need to airbrush video game characters. You know, you're right. It's so video game centric, and that is actually a great idea, right? What about like Lara Croft? Would that do well? You know, like Tomb Raider. Or what if you went ahead and did like Venom, right? Everyone's been doing Venom lately, and and it's been looking really good. So that would be cool. You can also see where I might have made that eyelid over here. Like sometimes our mind, our subconscious, like there has to be an eyelid there. So I put it there, but really it's just a sliver. And that's what I have to watch out for. Watch out that my subconscious doesn't get in the way of me seeing what's there. And then Wendy says, this is true. Get gamers involved. Yes, I mean, they are real fans of their games, aren't they? And then Jake says, what do you do if you go too dark? And how do you fix it with the ink? So, good question. You don't go too dark. You can see through the process of this painting how light I was and how we're really just getting to the darkness now. That is so important. If you do go too dark, well, if you went too dark, I think what would happen is you probably used a darker ratio before it was time. And my videos are going to actually tell you exactly when to use each mixture. But I'm going to tell you this, if you do go too dark, you don't want to erase with an aggressive eraser because you can tear. Make sure that the ink is dry on the surface. I can't stress how important that is. Once it's dry, I want you to take a kneaded eraser, and then I want you to, for instance, I'm going to make this darker again. You would just lightly rub like that, because you want to maintain the surface, because you may have to scratch in there. But you see, you can still do it, but you want to do it with a kneaded eraser, very soft, okay? And that will help you. That definitely will help you out. So definitely do that. If you have any questions, then you guys can always email me, IM me. I'm always here for you. So Kiva says, I would love to see you work in some pastels as well. So she says that pastel is her favorite medium. Am I going to live stream other media or airbrush only? Wendy says she also likes the pastel. I think I'm going to have to stay with this niche. And you have to narrow down my audience. And just for a lot of reasons, just to create a community and to be known just for that. So I think I'm going to have a blog, and that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a blog for that, Kiva, for my pastels, and I'll post some how-to videos in pastel, but more pertaining to my book. So, but this I think is going to be pretty much just airbrush. But I'm going to do color airbrush too, because I'm using ink. So it's going to be all ink, not just black and white, but also working in color. So that's going to be exciting. So I think that would be pretty cool. So Superkiller said Anakin Skywalker went dark. So like a evil Skywalker, that would be pretty cool. An evil Anakin. So that's, yeah, I've been doing a lot of research, and they said that I really should narrow down. The books that I've read should narrow down my focus. But you guys have any questions about pastel? I'm a signature member of the Pastel Society of America, pretty well known for my pastels. So technically, if you have any questions, I'm always here for you. And I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel as well, which, really are helpful. But I have the book online, which is good. So go to my blog, and you could read my book. And I'm going to be posting more chapters pretty soon. that book's almost done, and I'm going to be shopping for a publisher on that. So Willie asks if I will do a book on airbrush. I am going to. What I'm going to do, Willie, on my website and my store, I'm going to be doing ebooks. But ebooks that, like I said, are geared for us and things that would really be helpful. One of my ebooks I want to do is how to sell your airbrush paintings online. How to make your airbrush pay for itself. And almost like a guarantee. I can almost guarantee with the techniques I'm going to lay out of how you could, let's say, you know, get yourself a brand new airbrush and just tell yourself, okay, I just wanted to pay for itself. And you know what? In a few, you have yourself an airbrush. Hey, Heath, how you doing? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Heath, welcome. What a cool thing to see ya. Very exciting. So Heath, how you been? So right now we're just working on a little more texture. Now where else can we see some texture? A little bit of texture here, I believe, right over here. I'm not sure what's going on here, but there is texture. I really like to know what's going on when I'm painting it. It really helps. I'm going to reload my airbrush here. Remember, 2 drops. So guys, those who have the Sotar Slim, no more than 2 drops, okay? Otherwise, it could be a harrowing experience. And I put more than 2, and it gets pretty close to spilling out. And 2 is pretty helpful. Hey, Bobby, how you doing? How the trains going? I know Bobby likes trains, so that's cool. Thanks, Bobby. Jake says that Bobby likes watching me airbrush. Bobby is Jake's brother, so very cool. So thank you so much. That is so neat. So Norm asks, what's my favorite pen? Oh, this is a great question. Norm, you come up with some really great questions. So Norm says, what is your favorite technique to transfer the image, sketch, or to the medium before you start? My favorite is my projector. And yes, Willie, it does go a long way. You know, you'd be surprised, right? You would think 2 drops would go by really quickly, but it doesn't, especially when you're doing details. So yeah, any more than 2 drops, I think, is not a good idea with the Sotar. But like I said, you know, it goes a long way, and you don't have waste of paint. Well, ink is very inexpensive, right? That's the great thing about ink. I mean, you pretty much can be set. Even if, say, you get the 2 sets of color by P.H. Martin's, that's runs you about $80. And then the black and the white, you might spend maybe $90, but you have enough paint, enough ink to last you several years. You might have to buy more white, because I already used half a bottle, and I think I have it less than a month. So yeah, white goes pretty fast. Okay, so just seeing where else. Okay, right here we had some texture here. Now this is going to be dark here. This is going to come in with the dark accents, bring those boxing gloves a little bit closer to us. The picture really doesn't really indicate too much they're boxing gloves. They're just sort of round orbs here, but you kind of get the idea. But you see how I'm creating some texture, not just this smooth space, right? You know, wouldn't that be great if they sold white? You know what? I'm thinking with our group as it grows. So I just purchased the domain name inkflingers.com. That's going to be where we have a lot of different ideas where you guys could, you know, hopefully post your work and just different things like that would be really cool. So, but I think if, as our group gets bigger, we can actually talk to, let's say, P.H. Martin or Higgins and say, hey, why don't you make a 4-ounce white? And we can actually change things, and I think that's exciting. So what a great idea to see. That's what the ink people or any company wants. They want to know who are the people who are using their stuff, but using it correctly, right? Like we are. And innovating like we are. I mean, I've seen stuff that you guys are doing, and it's just fantastic. Thanks, Willie. Willie says it's an awesome name. I wanted ink slingers, and that would have been like advertising for a tattoo parlor, because I would have had to have inkslingers.org, but most people would have went to inkslingers.com and been like, oh, Tim's doing tattoos now. So yeah, so I definitely went with ink slingers. So ink flingers. So I don't think that's too bad. It's under construction, and I'll be able to have it secure, and you can purchase. So remember, I always said that I wanted to do this. I wanted to have it so an upcoming live stream that you could actually buy a projected image onto there. So going back to how I like to transfer my drawings or my work, the image onto the paper, I like using this. And this is, I've had it several years. It's by ViewSonic, and it's a digital projector. Now this is a little old technology because it uses the old video slots, VGA, but it does the trick. It has a really nice focusing, and I can even project during the day, which is really great, and I really love that. But any projector will be fine, right? I mean, any projector definitely will do. But it has to be a digital projector. That's always best. That's something. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. So it says there's a lot of sad octopus out there wishing they had that name. Ink flingers. Thanks, Super Killer. I appreciate that. And then Wendy's laughing, and then Heat says he loves it. What's the shelf life of ink? Forever. Like, as long as you have the ink covered airtight, it lasts forever. India ink lasts forever. This stuff pretty much, I'm not sure, but I would say years. Acrylic ink by Liquitex. Look at this. This stuff, I think I bought it in 2007, and now it's unusable. It looks like sea creatures are in there. It's really scary. So I don't think that the acrylic lasts too long. So Wendy says I should have a logo with a squid. Yes, that's in the works of doing, and it's so funny you should say that, of a squid and then having the ink going and turning into the words. So that's something we're working on. If you guys have any ideas, you guys want to work it out, if you guys want to, if you have time to do a logo for Ink Flingers, I would give you full credit for it and your name and everything on my website and YouTube, artwork by. So that'd be pretty cool. Super Killer says, Heat says that the FW inks are interested in. Oh, Doc Martens are really good. I mean, I really love Doc Martens. They're light fast. FW inks are acrylic, so they don't erase as well. The Doc Martens are India ink, so they erase much better. And Super Killer says he had a huge bottle of India ink of Higgins that it got mold growing in it. Oh man, see, I'm actually pretty lucky. I have a 32-ounce bottle that I bought back in 2009, and I still have it, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's still working really well. Ooh, that mold, that must have been nasty, huh? So that's horrible. Oh my God, sorry about that. Yeah, you don't know. It's like individual. It could be light conditions, or maybe how long has it been in the store or warehouse before you got it. I wish there were like date stamps on it. Wouldn't that be good so you can see before you buy it? See, that's the kind of stuff I think if we work together, if we're a group together, and let's say we go and talk to Higgins and say, hey, we want to know what's in the India ink. Can we have a tour of your plant and that sort of thing? That I would actually do, right? Wouldn't that be cool if we could meet as a group? Like, let's say, in I think Massachusetts where Higgins are, and they could show us the manufacturing of the India ink and what makes it different from, let's say, acrylic ink. That would be wild. I think that would be a lot of fun. So now the corporate offices of Higgins, who I talked to, those guys are in Massachusetts, but I don't know if their plants are actually there. So he says he's glad to have that. He had big problems erasing FW. Yeah, FW. Yeah, I had a rough time. I had to keep it very thin. If I watered it down a lot and then just built it up a little bit, I had a much better time. Definitely. I think if you go with a mixture that has like less water in it, I think the acrylic really kicks in. So very good insight, Heath. Thank you. So let's go ahead. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little darker. Actually, we're going to go a lot darker. And of course, we have much better lighting today because I have the second floodlight. Let me show you guys. See, we have a floodlight there, and then we have a big studio light there. So that's pretty cool. So we're able to get like much better lighting. So we're going to go with 3 full eyedroppers of water to 8 drops of ink. So at 3 to 8, so with water to ink. So with 8, we're going to go to 16. And with my luck, I'm probably going to spray it, so spill it. So I'll put it over here. And while I'm doing that, this is the reference material that we're working with. So we're just going to go 16 and 6. So 16 of these. So you can see, by just doing the ratio, we know what value we're going to get, which is really good. And then we're going to do 6 of the water. Full eyedroppers. 3-inch eyedroppers, by the way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You never get a full one, so I usually just add like a half of one in there, Oh yeah, Norm, Leeds, Massachusetts. That would be good if we all did like a road trip there. That would be a lot of fun. And they'd probably treat us really well with all the ink we're buying. And how much advertising we're doing for their company. Right? That's for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load up 2 drops of this much more intense ink here. We're going to see that right away when we go and test it out here. Let's see. See how much deeper that is. Okay, so we'll put this over there. Put my ratio. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start some dark accents here and there. Now we're going to darken up this boxing glove here. Sharpen it up too a little bit. There we go. just to pull that boxing glove a little bit closer to us. What I could do, if I want to bring that up a little bit, I can darken up what's adjacent to it. See that? And we just pull that forward just a little bit. So Wendy says her road trip would be 4 days just to get there. And Kiva says she's in. That's really cool. I bet they would treat us like gold. I'm going to look into that. You know, that would be something that would be fun. And I could do a blog on it and, you know, my trip to Higgins and maybe do something at P.H. Martin's as well. Although those cats never called me back. So I'm not sure if they're serious about artists because they didn't even pay attention to me. I'm going to try again though. Norm says the Higgins website has a gallery for inspiration, but nothing made with an airbrush. I did, you know, I'm in the talks with, you know, one of the vice presidents there, and he said he's going to do it, but I think right now it's the end of the year, so they're going to wait till the first of the year to maybe start doing something like that, which is really cool. And maybe we can get you guys in there, you know, not just my work, but you guys as well. So I also want to do something that's pretty cool, like when I do the ink blog. And it could be ideas from me, it could be ideas from you. You guys would submit an idea or a question. And rather than call it a think tank, we're going to call it the ink tank. I know that's cheesy, but I think that's pretty funny, pretty catchy. So we'll do that, just a forum of, you know, we're all working during the week and a question comes up, or even a technique or something like that. And that would be really great. And it does sound fun, so it would be really cool. But definitely, you know, something where we can continue inspiring each other, you know, during the week, and, you know, posting our work together, and just, you know, really keep pushing each other, because we all want to get better technically, right? I don't think there's anyone I know who doesn't want to get better technically. I know I do. So you can see I'm deepening up these darks here, and I'm going to start creating some value and start creating some form where she's coming out of the darkness, you know? So I think that's good. Okay, so just a little darker. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to darken this other boxing glove. I think that's very important. Guys, I will be right back. Talks among yourselves. Give me about 1 minute, okay? Okay, I hope everyone didn't leave. I am back, thank God. That's right, when the cat's away. Yeah, did you guys like start, you know, creating a different name for the channel and everything? But thanks so much for waiting for me. Oh, my cat's actually out there somewhere. She was in the live stream one time. I forget, it was one time late at night over the summer. She actually jumped on the back of the chair. It was pretty funny. And then there was one time in the live stream there was this really huge bug. Bradley Smith, how you doing? Good to see ya. Thank you so much for stopping by. Right now, Bradley, we are at the probably the closing stages of this painting, meaning we're starting to hit those really rich darks and create, you know, that three-dimensional quality of her hood. And just making sure that we also have texture, which is very important. What I'm going to do, let me see if I just wanted to get more of the painting in there. Let's see. Okay, we'll do our best. And then we are painting on this side here. So let's move this over like this. Okay. This way we have a much better view. So let's work on this area here. Since we have a really dark mixture, we're going to go ahead and lightly establish. We don't want to go too dark too early because we are working on paper. And we want to minimal warping. So what I'm going to do is never do what I was going to do, is take my ink and put it across my painting and then go like that. That's almost like asking for trouble. Oh my God, I spilled some ink. No worries, it's not by the painting. I just got to get some paper towels. That's the scary thing about, you know, painting with paint or ink or whatever, is the spillage, right? It's going to happen. And hopefully it doesn't happen near your painting. My Natalie Wood actually got beat up pretty badly by that. So let's put her over here. So 1, 2 drops. Okay, so we'll move this. So Super Killer says that his Bombay inks arrived. How cool. So he still has to say where they fit in with your other paints. He really likes the kit designs. Yes, Super Killer, definitely. I actually have been working on a video using the inks, and I'm going to do that using the color inks and show you guys how you can mix the white and things like orange to fix blue shifts and everything. So really great. Hey, Avery's World, how you doing? Colin Beachy, how you doing all the way from Canada? You know, good to see you. It's so great. You know, it's always great to see you, Colin. Colin is a great watercolor painter and airbrush painter. So cool. And so Norm X and Super Killer has sets 1 and 2. That's fantastic. So Colin, man, how you been? How's the house coming? I know Colin is having a studio in his house remodeled, so everything's sort of up in the air. That's why he hasn't been live streaming in a while. He used to do live streaming on Sundays. Just fantastic. Very inspiring. He's one of the reasons why I got back into live streaming, because they were so good. And he was just so cool, you know, such a cool guy. He just wanted to hang out with him. Okay, so I always get sidetracked. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on darkening this other boxing glove here. And basically, this is just sort of going to disappear here. There's going to be no lines between this and that, between her hood area and the shadows under her chin and where the boxing gloves start. There's going to be no delineation. I think that's the word for it, right? Delineation? So yes, so before Colin's asking how the Sotar is working, like a dream, I'll tell you, if you haven't picked one up, right now with my coupon you can get it for like $105. That's really good. So if you're in the market of one, let me know. I'll definitely help you out. So Avery's World says Renos are moving along. Oh, the renovations are moving along nicely but slow, and he will do an update soon. The ink paintings are doing awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really love doing these ink paintings, and I really love the community that this ink painting live streams and the blog have been building. Just a great group of people. And I think what's really cool is we're doing something just a little different. We're all just painting other stuff, of course, you know, using regular paints, but with this India ink, we're just doing something a little left of center, which is really cool. Hey, inks are cheaper, right? And it's most like drawing, and you don't have to worry about mediums, right? How many guys hate mediums when you're working on, you know, reducing different things like that, you know? Sometimes, you know, it's a pain, or the paint gets too thick and it clogs your airbrush. Well, you don't have that problems with ink, right guys? So that's why it's a good break for us all to go ahead and use this technique. So someone says here, whoop, there's a little bit of ink on my mouse. So let me just wipe that off. So there's a question up here, which is interesting. So Wendy says that she's having problems when she shakes the ink slings out of them. Really? So Wendy, tell me, when you shake the ink, do you have the cap really on tight? And it's not cross-threaded? If it's cross-threaded, even though the cap is on tight, you could have an issue with it not being closed all the way. So that could be that could be an issue. But yeah, that's horrible that when you shake it, it comes out. Oh boy. I've had that happen though when I, you know, went to shake, you know, like these tubes here of golden and stuff like that, Createx, they have that. And you know, if you twist it, it's closed, and it's untwisted. So you ever go ahead and shake it and don't put your finger on the top, and then you have like paint everywhere? I've done that. So that's true. Wendy says, checked everything, it's still doing that. That is interesting. And then Willie says, did anyone else think that it's funny that it doesn't say Badger nowhere on the Sotar? Let me check, you know. That's interesting. It doesn't say Badger anywhere. It says USA, and that's it. Wow, I got to talk to Ken about that. That's interesting. Well, you know what? I think the Sotar is making a name for itself. And I think that's, you know, I think it's true. The Sotar is just like really killing it, you know, killing it. When the Sotar Slim 2020 gets out there, it's, you know, people are going to be using it a lot. We're going to see a lot more of it. So Colin says, Tim, I wonder if a painting done in monochromatic ink could also have transparent watercolor airbrushed over it. Most definitely. You know why? Because it's waterproof. So I've done that my whole career. Is that what I do on Masonite is I do an airbrush painting on India ink. That's how I started this. Airbrush painting in India ink. it's waterproof, and you go over it and it's perfect. So watercolor would work absolutely because the ink's never going to reactivate. So that's what's going to be really great. So he says that says to Wendy that he had the same leaking when he shook his bottle of ink, that some dried ink was actually on the rim of the bottle. Wow, that is so interesting. That's a great insight. See, I think that could be it. You could have some dried ink like right there, right here. And I think that could be causing the problem. So that is really good insight. And Super Killer says, Willie, I think that had to do with the original marketing. When we're talking about the Sotar not having the Badger. The original marketing, they didn't want the stigma of Badger name associated with a lower model building airbrush. So Sotar was supposed to be like the Micron killer. You know what? So, that's very cool insight as well. And yes, Willie says that it's way better than his first Badger 150. Yes, definitely. Definitely is. I agree so much with you there, Willie. And Wendy says perhaps the ink that she has was left too long Amazon's warehouse. Very possible. Have you seen the size of those things? Unbelievable. I used to work for Amazon, and they actually have robots that at some locations. I used to work at Quincy, which was a subsidiary, and we had robots that actually would go pick the items, and then the people would take them from the robots and put them in the actual boxes. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it is. The Sotar is really interesting. So Colin says, Tim, will Sotar go as low in air pressure? Yes, definitely. I'm going to go really low here. See that, guys? It's just... So really, you can do amazing things with this. Now, always keep in mind that this airbrush is like a little more than $100 with my coupon. So that's really good. It's 40% off at USAairbrush.com. Let me double check here. If anyone is interested, of course. So here is... So if you go to USAairbrush.com and you guys go ahead and say you want to purchase the Sotar 2020, right? The 2020 Slim. And then it's 40% off. Then you get an extra 10% off when you use this code, Timothy PSA. So I was talking with Ken, and the price is as low as like $105 if you use that. So... And how much is the Micron going for right now? Almost $500. So I really think that you could definitely take that money, that extra $400, and do something really good with your studio, right? And Kiva says that she's looking forward to seeing me add color. Do you feel they are as bright as acrylics? And does she thought of no clogs? And what size needle are you working with? I'm going to show you. The needle on this one is a 0.20. That's the needle on the Sotar. Just to double check, right? You guys have 0.20 as well? Now, I actually did my first experiment. I'll show you using the India ink over using these Bombay waterproof India inks, and you can see that this is just like the first initial layers, and I really think that it really is very cool. And what's really great about this, when you use acrylic and you put the acrylic, and as you do many layers of acrylic, you sort of lose the surface. It gets that sort of really smooth plastically look. But since I prepare my own boards with marble dust and gesso, I like this sort of texture that you have. You see that little bit of texture in the board? I like keeping that texture. With the India ink, you don't lose texture. So I can actually use this as an underpainting for a pastel because the board is already perfect for pastel, which is really great. Ah, Heath, yes, I wish you did, because you would have saved an extra 10%. Ah, bummer. Well, next time I'm going to have other deals out there, Heath, so no worries. And but yeah, you got yourself a good Sotar, though. That's too bad. How long ago did you purchase that Sotar, Heath? And while you guys are discussing that, I'm going to go ahead and, yes, look how vibrant these colors are. I mean, these colors, I'm going to show you and you know what's really, the colors are more intense because they don't have the fillers of the acrylic. So I really think you can get much more intense colors. Drawbacks, there are some, it's not all perfect. You are limited to the thinness. You can't go a little bit thicker. So you start out pretty thin to begin with. So that's a little bit of a drawback. It's a give and take. But I think you'll find that the pros outweigh the cons. And that's what I'm finding as I'm experimenting. But I'm definitely going to do a live stream in color. That would be a lot of fun, right? Definitely. As you can see, I'm just darkening here. These live streams really go fast, don't they? We're already like an hour and 15 minutes into this live stream. And, about 2 months ago. Oh, that's okay, but the thing is, I didn't have that code back then, so that's a bummer. Said about 2 months ago, but had to send it back because the leaking air valve, it's itching to get it. Oh, so they're going to send you a new one? Is that what it is? Oh, wow, okay. And put a little bit of texture here. So if you guys are interested, I'll post this up at the end of the live stream again. So remember, Timothy PSA at usaairbrushsupply.com. And, I definitely know that Ken will be very excited you guys purchase. Because he's, Ken is the CEO of Badger, which you all guys know, of course. But he really takes a, first-hand interest in what artists are doing. And I don't see Iwata doing that. I don't see Iwata caring about the artist. Unless if you're a custom painter, yeah. Ah, thank you, Wendy. That's so fantastic of you. Wendy actually went ahead and put the code in the chat field, so I appreciate that. And I think if you purchase anything on there, if you use that code, you get 10% off. So maybe you need, some extra valve or, maybe a needle. So go ahead and use that code, and I think you'll get 10% off no matter what you buy. So that's good. And you help out the channel, so I appreciate that. But it's like you get a better deal, and you helped out the channel, and how great is that? That's a win-win, and that's one of the reasons why I did this channel from the very beginning, to create a forum that is like really out for us, the artists, and give us, more of a voice out there. going to work on this hood really quickly now, since we're coming into the closing, sort of the home stretch of this. I'm going to start using some airbrush. I mean, less airbrush, more pen, more paintbrush, and then more pastel, and just bringing it on home. Or so he says they're either going to repair it or send him a new one, but it should be on its way back. That's great. Yeah, I can't wait till you get it. So that happens with anything, right? But it's a real bummer. So one thing that you always got to worry about when you are airbrushing, when you kind of feel it's the end, you could have a blowout. So when you feel it at the end, you don't want to blow out like that. So when you see like you're running low, stop airbrushing, blow out the rest of it, and then just go ahead and reload. And of course, move your painting out of the way. Put your 2 drops in. And any kind of splatters or anything, your painting is far away. And also when you do your first couple of sprays, watch, see you have that air pocket, and this way you don't. So right there you see that I had just a little bit of a blowout there, but it's all right. We can just, we're working on paper, so we can fix things so easily. This is such a forgiving technique, guys. Which is really good. So, all right, now, so we have a little bit of our ink mixture, and we have our rigger brush, or some people call it a rigger brush or a liner brush. So what I'm going to do is I always try and get some excess liquid out first, and I definitely do not want to put my hand on the surface. Oh, so he says that he got some hardboard and some gesso and is waiting on the marble dust. Did you have a seal? Did I have to seal the gesso? Yes. Definitely make sure that's airtight, because the gesso will definitely dry and become limestone, basically. So make sure you do that. Yeah, so definitely watch my video on the mixture. The mixture is still valid in that video, that YouTube video. And now in the video, guys, I use a blender. Of course, other people in your house, if you use a blender for a gesso, they might want to kill you. So you might want to do that. I just use like a little paint stick, and I'll mix it that way. Yeah, I got in trouble with the blender right after that video was done. That was actually, I did that video, guys, I did that video almost 10 years ago. Unbelievable. It feels like yesterday. I wasn't even working in Airbrush back then. So right now I'm just going to do some dark accents, and then after I do the dark accents, we're going to come in with that white pastel and just really try and crush this here. And Chris says, all right, Sensei, gonna go see you tomorrow. So, Chris, thanks so much, man. And I hope you have a great night. You're doing really good. He's working on a nude study, and that's work coming out really nice. So I'll talk to you tomorrow, Chris. Thanks for coming by, man. So Jacob says, ink on masonite. Yes, I love ink on masonite. I just finished a couple of ink on masonite paintings, which are, a lot of fun. So Chris calls me Sensei, which is pretty funny, and I like it, because you know, I do teach a lot like martial arts because I did study martial arts, and one of my greatest teacher was a martial artist. So when we teach, we learn from all our teachers, and we're sort of a mixture of everybody that was influential to us, and they come out when we teach. So yeah, there's a little bit of a sensei in me when I'm teaching. And as you can see with the brush, I'm able to really get in a little bit deeper as far as, maybe some linear structure, a little more, how do you say, a little more flexible with the brush than with the airbrush. I don't think anyone really arrives in their technique, whether it be airbrush or pastel. We always can learn something. There's always a weakness that we could try and make a strength. So I kind of like doing that, even though, like you'll see here, even though there isn't dark over here, but I might just add it just to give a little volume. I'll add this line, and I think that actually creates more of a three-dimensional look of the lower eyelid. There we go. Sometimes you'll put stuff in there that isn't there just to give it more sense of form. And Colin says, what martial arts did I study? I studied Kempo Karate and the George Dillman method, pressure points and stuff, of Kempo. And I studied that down in Florida with a really great sensei, and then I learned a little bit from a Navy SEAL who actually studied in Okinawa, which was really wild. So, wow, the 5-point palm exploding heart technique. If I did, I definitely wouldn't use it. That's pretty funny, Super Killer. But I did learn some really cool pressure points, which really do work. I mean, pressure points, that, give you a Charlie horse or something like that. That kind of pressure points, which is pretty neat. But yeah, a lot of, my training, I do apply to art from martial arts. And I think you can do that. The repetition of a punch, to do it over and over again until that punch is just like perfect, or it'll never be perfect. You'll just keep doing it. And then he says he saw the video and he has a recipe, and his question was, did I have to seal a gesso and marble dust? Oh, no, you don't seal it. No, sir. You can just, it stays it's acrylic. The gesso is acrylic, and it's a waterproof acrylic. That's the most important thing, that it's waterproof acrylic. If it's not waterproof acrylic gesso, then it's going to be a mess. When you come in there, it's going to activate. So great question. Sorry I didn't understand it at first. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a great question, Heath. Really good. And I think that's a question that a lot of people are dealing with. So thank you for that. I used this other ink, this other gesso years ago that wasn't waterproof. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. You should have seen the mess that it made. So I drew that whole stuff out. I think it was by Jerry's Autorama. I was like, this is garbage. So it has to be waterproof acrylic India ink. A waterproof acrylic gesso. And it has to have a thickness of almost like a little bit thicker than mayonnaise. You want the gesso to be thick. It won't work if the gesso is thin. So So it has to be a thick gesso. That's actually so crucial. So you can see how important the rigger brush is. And I'm using the ink from that really dark mixture. And now the thing is, it's like there's really no time clock onto, you know, when you could actually call a painting done. I really think, and you know, you guys have said too that, you know, how do you know when a painting is done? I think you just abandon it. I think you could work on a painting forever. Do you guys agree with that? Oh, so Wendy says her son talks about that, the 5-point palm exploding heart. Yeah, that's a bad move. That's too funny. But Kill Bill was a great movie. So were the other ones, right? I think they were pretty good. I think Quentin Tarantino is one of the most indulgent directors, which is pretty cool. You know, I do love his stuff. And just creating more of you know, little hairs here and there. You know, over here we're going to maybe do some hairs with, yeah, let's do that. So let's move this over here. Let's get off some of the ink off of that brush. You want to make sure you take care of your liner brush, guys. I've seen too many airbrush artists with brushes that were like hideous. And you know, you don't take care of your airbrush, it's not going to work correctly. And the same thing with your regular brushes. So always make sure we do that. Okay, so now we're going to use this mono eraser and we're going to go to town and we're going to start doing some of these light hairs here and there. So Super Killer says, once I go through the steps, once he goes through the steps like I do, there isn't a whole lot more a person can do. As far as the technique, I think definitely, I think you can take it further. I think you could maybe work on some, you know, like maybe go in there and do more detail here. So I really think you can take it as far as you want. Definitely farther than I do it, I think. Because like I said, I'm not a photorealist. I'm not going for that really tight detail. Sometimes I'll do a suggestion here and there, but I won't really go into, you know, every detail. But yeah, definitely Super Killer. You can definitely take it your own direction. And that's what I want you to do. You know, I want this to be a point of departure for you guys, and you go in your own direction. Norm did Rosita that I felt he put in his own direction. It was really great. I mean, Norm did this painting of Rosita, and it had more personality, I think, than mine did, which I thought was great. And he went a little more of the contrasts. So yeah, you can definitely go your own direction. He says the gesso he has is acrylic water resistant. Yeah, definitely. Do a test first though, you know. Make sure you don't do it on something you really love. A small panel, you know, or, you know, and then do it and then do some tests and make sure it's going to do everything you want it to do. All gessos are not created equal, but I think you're going to be okay with that. So what I'm doing is I'm putting down some pressure here, and I'm just going to do some of these little hairs. Right here, let's see, right about here, we have one hair going like that. And then one hair moving this way. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move in with some white pastel and sort of intensify that. And there's not really much hairs going on here in this one, because she has a hood on and she's covering it. Okay, so let's go ahead, break out the white pastel. Oh, so Super Killer asked Norm where can he see it. He says not posted anywhere since it's his first one. But yeah, it's really nice. I mean, really pretty excited about it. I'm excited about all you guys' work, really. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have a nice point on this. Now, since I'm wanting to blend this, I'm not going to go ahead and use that fabric pencil because that one doesn't blend well. That's for, like, you know, putting a line down and leaving it there, you know, like you mean it. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on some light accents here. Just really bring that other eye into focus a little bit. Not as much as the eye next to it, but this is the fun part when all the hard work comes together. A little watery over here. Little water pulled up on the eye there. Let's do the same over here. A little watery. Let's go over here and then right here we just have a light. There we go. Just really get that gaze, a look at us, right? Yes, Willie says his favorite part, mine too. And then Super Killer, so Norm says he needs, I need a gallery on my new site, yes, of your guys' work, you know, of all of our work. That would be really great. And I'm planning on doing that. And then Colin says that he has a Bob Ross gray gesso. Now, that's oil paints, so I'm not too sure. I know acrylic over oil is fine. I've done that. But ink over oil, I'm not too sure. I definitely would do a test, Colin. But, hey, it's worth a shot, right? I definitely would say never say never. That's what I love. I love experimenting with art supplies. That's what... you know, really Cass Fuller, really amazing airbrush artist, and he told me when I started airbrushing to just go ahead and play with the airbrush and play with the paint, and don't worry about doing paintings, or, you know, don't worry about doing finished large paintings. Just do some really quick ones to learn what the paint does. And Kiva said it won't work, and I think I agree with Kiva. And Super Killer says he has a bottle of black. It's acrylic. Black gesso. I think that would work, but not with the marble dust mixture. Maybe it would work. I don't know. That's interesting. You know, you can color gesso any way you want. I think you can do that. But my thinking is, okay, so if you have the gesso and you use white, you can always color it, you know, by doing a layer of acrylic over it anyway. But the black gesso, Super Killer, that sounds pretty cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead and intensify some of these areas. Bring them forward, like her Cupid's bow. I know that's not the technical term for it, guys. Oh, so Kiva tried doing oil over, acrylic over oil, and it didn't work. Yes, because especially if the oil wasn't dry, right? So what were some of the difficulties that you found doing acrylic over oils? And that's very good insight. I appreciate that so much, Kiva. See, I learned so much from you guys as well. And Super Killer says, It's so old, I'm not sure it isn't just a brick by now. Oh man, I have some golden acrylics, the grays from like 2002. Yeah, 2003. They're bricks. Definitely, that does happen. Little flecks of lighter color here. Just like that. Now, so the light is coming from here, so you can see by her eye what direction the light's coming from. So with that being said, let's go ahead and intensify the corner of her nose. And what that's going to do is, I don't necessarily see it as that value, but I think that's going to create some nice 3D look to her nose. Pay attention also to how the light borders with the midtone, how it meanders and not a straight line. That's going to be so important in making it look realistic and making it look like a nose and not like some, I don't know, some mechanical thing. So as you can see, I'm not going to extend the light past where it is here. So the light goes probably right about here. So I'm not going to overextend it, because then it would start looking weird and we'll lose her likeness in the later stages. So we definitely don't want to do that. And as we can see, we can definitely increase the thickness over here. And also there's a lot less contrast over here. I mean, it's a lot less contrast between the nose and the cheek. There's more contrast. I have more contrast. So just paying attention to that. But I can only see this because I gradually built up my values and now I can see the whole picture. If I did only a little bit, I think that would have been bad, you know. Oh, Willie says that he has to go. Always a pleasure, Willie, and always look forward to hanging out and talking art with you. Enjoy your new Sotar, and I'll see you next week. So cool. Now, Heat says, what make of pastels do I have? And, oh, okay, so Heat says, what makes a pastel? These are my favorite brands of pastel. My main brand is Holbein. I like Holbein because they're not too dark, I mean not too hard, not too soft. They're like my workhorse. I use them throughout the whole painting. In the beginning I used these credit colors, and they're a very hard pastel, meaning that they don't blend easily and they don't leave a lot of dust. And so those are good. I use them in the early stages, then I use the Holbein. And at the end, I like using Winsor & Newton, which is really great. And then Winsor & Newton, and at the very, very end, I'll use Sennelier or Schminke. Sennelier are French pastels that Edgar Degas used, and Monet and all those guys, the Impressionists, so they've been around forever. So remember, we were doing texture. We're going to be doing texture with the white as well. We're going to just be doing little circular movements, but keeping a space. And the space is important for texture, because if you don't have the space between your little circular strokes, you are not going to have the texture. You're just going to have a flat tone. So it's not like, I do see a little lighter in value here and there where the form turns up towards the light, right? Where the form turns up towards the light, it's going to be more light. Where it turns away from the light, less light. And it's going to be gradual sometimes. So there's two ways that we can blend it like this, Then we can use our kneaded eraser, and then we can go ahead. On one of my blog posts on my book, one of them actually has, you know, all the pastel brands I use and when. Different other brands I use, such as Art Spectrum. I'll use Rembrandt. I use pastel pencils, which are really good in the painting as well. As you can see now, I'm starting to build up, you know, those lights in her nose. There we go. And we'll just tap in. So you can see how we are just creating a little more three dimensions in her face, which is great. JAH Designs, can they work for automotive applications like a helmet or bike tank? Interesting. I don't think so. I don't think that the India ink will work, but I don't know if it. I don't see why it. I don't see why one wouldn't try it to try and do it, but I think they're too thin. I would love somebody to actually look into that, JAH, because I know you can definitely add the inks when doing acrylic. I know you can do that. What do you guys think? Do you think that it's possible, you think, like, to do ink on, let's say, a helmet, if you treated it like, you know, maybe use, you know, Scotch-Brite the surface where it became rough, and you use the colored India inks like this? What do you guys feel? Now, also, and I also feel that if you clear coat it, I think, since it is waterproof, once it's clear coated, I think it would be protected, right, JAH? Very intriguing question. A little bit of texture here in the eyelid. We're going to go ahead and put that in. So Kiva says, very interesting. And Wendy says maybe. Super Killer says he thinks it's possible as long as it's locked down with a good 2 coats of clear. So I think the clear coat's the question, right? So those are, and then Kiva said that she thinks it'll be fine once it's cleared. I know as long as it's waterproof India ink, it's not going to be affected by the clear coat because it's going to be waterproof. But I definitely would do a test because you don't know exactly how that's going to react. But if that did work, wow, that would make your life so much easier, right, JAH? Because, you know, with acrylic paint, it's so thick and you get a lot of clogging, you won't have that problem. No, JAH, I'm so glad you joined. This pencil is, oh, let me show you in the beauty of the different cameras, JAH. Let's show you. Okay, so you can hear me, that's good. Okay, so it's the Pit Pastel, Soft Pastel Pencil by Faber-Castell in white. And you get them at Dick Blick. Pretty soon you'll be able to get them at my personal store. And they're about maybe $2. And they work great with this paper. Just fantastic. With the paper, it works really well. Bradley says that he used to paint helmets a lot. It's hard to get the paint to stick to them. Products like Bulldog is what he used. Interesting. Very cool. And Wendy says depends on the solvent in the clear coat. Very interesting, Wendy. Good point. Good point. And okay, so we have really great discussion going on. Superkiller says that he can even use another product over the ink like Createx Autoborn Clear to separate the ink from the solvents. Wow. What a great discussion. This is new, right? This is like new stuff. I love when stuff like this happens. Because that's when, you know, when different artists say, what if you did this? And what if you did that? Because we all come from, you know, different parts of the airbrush world. so great. But JAH definitely would love to hear, you know, any insight. That's exciting stuff. So if you get a chance, JAH, if you want to try this ink method, if you email me, and I'm going to put my email address up here. If you go ahead and email me, I'll go ahead and JAH, I'll send you, and anyone else who hasn't had it, I'll go ahead and send you this, my chart of ink to water ratios to get the different values. So you can see, you get like some incredible light values, and then you can go all the way to dark values, which is really wild. See right here. So we go all the way from really light, and just look at this perfect gradation all the way to black. So you guys, if you haven't gotten this, send me an email. I'll send you a PDF of this, and this way you'll have it, and you'll be able to follow along. So that would be really cool. Then I could, you know, send you some emails, letting you know when live streams are coming up and stuff like that. So that would be cool. Let's see. Superkiller says, okay, he talked about that. And then Colin says, fantastic example of a perfect live feed. People sharing ideas and info. Yes, that is the perfect live feed. Not just, you know, you hearing me pontificate, just, you know, interchange, right? That's what I'm looking for. That's what makes me happy. And that's when I come away saying, wow, I got something from this too. So definitely. That's the way your live streams were. They were fantastic, Colin. And you know who does good live streams? Jake. He does really good live streams. I really love them as well. And Superkiller says he's still in dark exactly what makes up India Ink base and what chemicals. I did a post not too long ago, and you know what's in India Ink? And believe it or not, this is what I found. I did research that it's carbon and soot, and it is suspended in just water as far as the black India ink. And that's what my research was. It does have a little bit of a binder, but definitely a lot different than acrylic ink. So that's why it's so easily erasable. JAH, always great to talk to you, man. I hope to see you next week. And definitely email me, and I'll send that to you right away. And yeah, well, I know it's pigment with the different colors, but black is different. Black is like Wendy says, a certain type of charcoal and soot, and so I think that is what makes it so malleable, you know, and makes it look like a pencil, right? It kind of has a pencil drawing quality to it, which I love, you know. So Colin says, thanks, Tim. Oh, you're welcome. That's for sure. Let's see. Yeah, I loved your live streams. I do love your live streams when you start doing them again. I can't wait. He did a koi fish in Airbrush and then brush. Just really fantastic. Just blew my mind. Okay, so we're still doing our light accents here. And now we can just go ahead and just pull out. Now, you gotta realize when you're doing these lights why it's happening. It's happening because her light, the bottom part of the lip is coming out a little bit and is facing the light, which is way over here. And that's why you're seeing that. And then in different areas it's a little more intense, so there's a little more buildup of light. But make sure that it's not as light as this here, so you can make sure that it stays relative to where it is. And of course you can just calm that down just like that, and it's not too ardent, right? And Norm says, do I have a new project in mind for next week? I'm thinking of doing something, maybe definitely a celebrity, but I'm not sure. Maybe, but definitely throw some ideas out at me. Email me. I want to know, if you think anything would be cool. That would be interesting. But something that is interesting technically, right? Yeah. So next week we're starting a new one. So definitely, Norm. I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know beforehand, even. So Colin says the Higgins ink clean out of the airbrush with water. With water easily, yeah. What I do for me is I use some acetone with a Q-tip, and I'll just go ahead and clean out some little areas, that might have gotten dried. But I clean my airbrush right away, and then I wash it out with water. So Windex will work fine too. It's a lot easier to clean your airbrush with India ink than it is with any kind of acrylic. Even golden, which is my favorite, I have a much better time with the India ink as far as maintenance goes. And you have a lot less clogging. You do have clogging every now and then. It's not perfect, but a lot less frequently. And what I'm doing is I'm just blending and de-emphasizing a little bit. Now we have a little bit of texture here in this eye. So as you can see, I'm not really worried about the boxing gloves. I'll do them off camera to finish it up. But what we're doing now is just showing you how to go towards the end of the painting. And so Heat says airbrush cleaner works. Yes, I heard great things about the airbrush cleaner, definitely. Jake is laughing. Let's see. Superkiller says lacquer thinner is a way to go, which is cool. He haven't found an acrylic cleaner to work its worth of salt, so that's good insight from Superkiller. I like the acetone. But yeah, everyone has their own preferences, and that's a great idea. Lacquer thinner, definitely. I think the best thing for doing, right, guys, is just cleaning that airbrush right away, making sure that the paint doesn't get a chance to do its damage from the beginning. So when I first became an airbrusher, guys, you know what I used to do? I used to leave my airbrush overnight, forget about it, and then the next day it was horrible. So I do not do that anymore. So Norm says he uses a mixture of water and Fantastic, 3-to-1. That's really good. And that works really well, Norm, huh? Wow. That's really cool. Very good insights. And let's see. So over here there's actually some things are just marginally lighter that you can just erase them and get a little bit of a lighter value. And then right here we have an intensity of light here on this side of her cupid's bow because it's facing the light, guys. And as it faces the light, it gets more light. That rhymes. And that's going to actually, believe it or not, it softens up her features. Okay, great. And what I'm going to do is just tap that to soften that up. Because some areas there are no texture. And there's hardly any texture here. And it's not just, we don't want to copy values. We want to really try and figure out why those values are changing. And that's important to remember where the light's coming from and what the light is doing as it washes over the forms. So it's washing over her eyelid, it's washing over her nose, the bottom lip, and how it's reacting is very important. So that's really good. Superkiller says, let's see here, we have some. Oh, Kiva, you're leaving. Okay, well, thanks so much for coming by. It's always great to see you, Kiva. I know you have to work hard on that mural tomorrow, and continue doing great things with that mural. That's amazing. And so let's see. So we have Superkiller says you can see that Norm. Those cleaners all use the same base chemical that Createx Reducer uses. You know, Createx Reducer smells eerily like floor wax. Smells like floor wax to me. So Norm says that Superkiller, that does make sense. Windex and rubbing alcohol are worked as salt. That's what Jake says for cleaning. And then he says, oh, you got to run. Well, Heath, good night, man. It was great to see you. I hope to see you next week. And always love talking to you, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. And Colin says, once you're done with the painting, Tim, do you seal the art with a clear coat or varnish? Not at all. The ones I do on Masonite, yes, I'll do a varnish over it. But the ones in paper, now this is just a cheap frame, but you can see that the frame pretty much, you know, takes care of all that. So, you know, and it just, it'll last forever because it's only on paper. So I just do that. And when it's on paper, you definitely don't want it exposed, right? So you definitely don't want the paper exposed at all. So you definitely have to frame it under glass. So that's where that comes into play. Let's see. So we're just going to do a little bit of, right here we have a light on the windowsill of her eye there. There we go. So we are coming to the closing moments of this particular 4-part series, which, you know, was a lot of fun. You guys made it a lot of fun, that's for sure. So, good news on the channel, guys. On my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, forgive me. I finally made it to 4,000 watch time minutes in 365 days. And now I can monetize my videos, which I'm not sure I'm going to do that too much, but it's nice to have that ability to reach that YouTube partner status. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and cover this with our hand. So I think we're doing pretty good. I think we had a pretty good project here. I think we did well. So we're just going to do this light here. There we go. And then there's a white here. Let's see. There we go. And now she's starting to look nice and pretty. And I do like the way she's coming out finally. Like you said, you don't taste the cookies until it's done, right? So that's true. So Colin says, amazing feed. Thank you so much. He's so happy to catch us online. I appreciate that. And oh man, it's been great. Always great seeing you, Colin. And I hope that house comes out really well. I know it's going to. And your studio is probably going to be killer, you know? I'm sure it's going to be really nice. Okay, so I think that's gonna, oh, so Wendy eats the cookies at every stage and Super Killer eats the cookies. That's true. My mom never let me do that. Maybe that's why I have that analogy, guys, right? That's pretty funny. So if you haven't, guys, go ahead and go to Painted Glyphs. Email me at paintedglyphs.com to get that ink ratio chart. And always remember, if you're going to get anything from USAairbrushsupply.com, if you use my code, which is, where is it? There it is, Timothy. PSA, you'll get 10% off, especially that Sotar. Come out to about 105. Thanks, Wendy, for putting that there. And so always, if you need that code, you can always shoot me a quick email. Always happy to hear from you guys. Yes, and hit that like button. And let's see. Yes, and hit that like button. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Super Killer. He knows the drill, right? Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. So, guys, let's see. So, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Let me make sure I have sound. Otherwise, you're... Yep, so have a great rest of the week. It's fantastic to hang out with you guys. I'll keep you posted. Anything's on the blog. But take care. I had a lot of fun. I had too much fun. Take care, guys.